Hello and welcome back to the Facts of Facts, the only Facts of Life podcast that could really use a break today.
Yeah.
I worked on my impression of him because I love him. Tony, yes, Grant Kramer, the incomparable Grant Kramer. We will get into all of that and so much more. We have got Backdoor Pilot number 3, 2 in a row.
Breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're breaking up. Go back again.
Can you hear me now?
I can. Verizon man.
I was saying that we've got Backdoor Pilot number 3.
Yeah. This is back-to-back Backdoor Pilot.
Back to backdoor.
But before we go any further, I would like to say to you that this one, I would prefer to watch this backdoor pilot than the last one. Like,
Yes.
this one was better because I kind of could hang out with these people, even though this whole episode was about three men's anxiety over a little girl's budding sexuality.
Yes, it was. It sure was, because that's what the Facts of Life likes to do.
Yeah. But also the other thing that I want to say before we get into this is Happy May the 4th.
Ah, May the 4th be with you, Britt.
Yeah. For those of us not watching our visual podcast, I am wearing my Baby Yoda t-shirt.
And she panned down to her breasts. So
which is where Baby Yoda lives, between my breasts.
So I strongly recommend you check out the podcast on the YouTube channel if you want to see the goods.
That's right.
All right. Well, so yes, I thought this was a better Backdoor Pilot than the last Backdoor Pilot, mainly because Grant Kramer's acting was so fascinating to me that I could watch him every day.
Everyone's acting was fascinating in this. The only person who seemed grounded and normal, as usual, was Joe.
Yes. Yeah, that's very true.
About this episode, though, that I wrote down, that I noticed is that this episode felt as though, well, it was directed by Azad Khalada. It felt as though he just left halfway through shooting, and they were like left with kind of half a written script, and we're like, we're shooting this, right? And like the direction just falls apart. They kind of ad-lib weird lines all the time. And then it ends on a sort of the least cliffhangery and possible.
Yes, it did. It really did.
It didn't make me be like, God, I really need to see what happens in the end of this one. Like, what's going to happen? Is she going to go to the bowling alley? Is she going to get on the back of Tony's bike? Nope. She's going to answer a phone call from someone we don't know. That's the end.
That's all you need. Also, it's kind of funny to think that this episode is called Joe's Cousin, but it's a Backdoor Pilot. And would the show be then called Joe's Cousin?
I guess.
So weird.
It should be called Largo Linguini.
Largo sauce, man.
Largo sauce.
Well, we will get into all of that. Let's start the show, shall we?
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of which, Azad phoning it in. I don't even think he was there for the beginning because this scene. First of all, you got Tootie who sits. She sits in the scene, and she's so blurry you can't even see her face. It could be a stand-in sitting for Tootie. The only reason I know it's actually Kim Fields is because in the end credits, they show a little bit more from this scene that was cut.
Oh, well, yeah. But it kind of seemed as though, well, she wasn't a stand-in, she was a sit-in. But she's nonverbal in the first scene. She's
in the whole episode.
Yeah, in the whole episode. And then during this scene, which we'll get to later in this brief, like 45-second scene, Joe speaks directly to Blair about how much she loves her Uncle Sal. Blair, nothing. Doesn't even look at her.
She's filing her nails.
Yeah.
So let's get into it. So we open in the lounge, and Joe's getting ready to get to the train station. Mrs. Garrett is downright shocked. She'll be 2 hours early. But, you know, the way that it works on this show is that when a character wants to go somewhere, they have to go irrationally early to prove that they're excited.
Yes. But then Natalie transplains, and she's like, but, you know, it's Amtrak. They're going to be 2 hours late. So then immediately I was like, you know what? Is this really something that Natalie would know about? Like about Amtrak? So I looked into the history of Amtrak.
So did I. Let's do this.
Okay. So CEO Alan Boyd wrote saying, thinking back over all that had happened in 1981, he wrote, in perspective, it was the corporation's finest hour. Because in 1982, or in 81, Reagan reduced federal funding for all public trains, for any sort of intercity train. And he was like, you can't, like, he barely wanted to give him any money at all. But Alan Boyd managed to convince the president to give them some money. But in 1982, Boyd presided over Amtrak's 10th anniversary. And in that decade, total revenues had risen 311% to $506.3 million, while passenger miles increased 60%. And Amtrak had grown to become the nation's 6th largest intercity public transportation company. So I get that, like, it's like, wah, wah, Amtrak sucks. But, like, to be honest, it didn't. And Natalie shouldn't know that.
Actually, I'm going to counterpoint with that because the Alan S. Boyd that you speak of resigned 3 weeks after this episode aired.
That's true. He did.
And I know everything about Alan Boyd. But also, Amtrak was busy converting the last of their steam trains to electric that year. And so that may have been the cause of some unusual amount of delays.
Well, that was only like intercity in terms of like if you were going from New York to Chicago, then it would have been like that because a lot of the trains that were on the East Coast were very tall because they were already converted from coal to being, you know, something else. So they were too tall to go through tunnels between, say, New York and Cincinnati and New York and Chicago, whereas the entire Northeast corridor, which is where Joe would be going to from Peekskill to what then turns out to be New Jersey, which I didn't know until the last 4 minutes of this episode, she would have been fine. That would have been, the Northeast corridor is usually one of the corridors that has the fewest delays. So.
All right. Also, did you notice that Natalie, in her one line in this episode, she really should have cleared her throat because she's like, we're talking Amtrak here. Like, it's all like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Anyway, I'm glad that we both were like, you know what? Let's fact check whether or not this Amtrak slur is real or not.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that we did because we learned a lot about Alan S. Boyd today. I love how you tried to whitewash over his resignation.
It was just a shit on Natalie and the writing, not Boyd.
Anyway, Natalie is acting as a yarn holder for Mrs. Garrett, and she is also wearing the same color as the yarn, so it just kind of blends into this like pink mush.
And she's just moving her hands around. It's hard to identify unless you watch that scene at least a few times what she's actually doing.
Yes.
What's together? They could have been doing anything together. They could have been folding laundry.
Mm-hmm. But they weren't. Natalie was just this.
Yeah.
And then we get Blair, who at least has something to do later. She's just filing her nails, waiting for her big scene.
Joe's just like, listen, I want to get there early. I'm super psyched. Like, you know, I can't wait to see my Uncle Sal. The best years of my life were spent at his gas station. As soon as you exactly, but also as soon as you, I was like, as soon as you say that you're excited about something, that's very dangerous on this show because you're going to be disappointed.
She does go. They don't like wait long enough. It's like the Facts of Life gods are like, quickly, she talked about it. We got to go immediately before the Facts of Life. Yeah, so we get to see the garage, but we never do get to see bowling, which is more the thing that they're talking about that we never see.
True.
And then we get, as we get out of this classic scene, we must discuss the transition, how artful and subtle, how exhilarating and smooth it was.
Yeah. Did we get a sort of, B-roll shot of like a train arriving at a station and then, maybe we get a close-up of Jo getting off the train with her little backpack?
No, Jo's like in mid-sentence. She's like, I love my Uncle Sal's garage. It's the best place of my whole existence. I just want to go back. And then it's like, we're there.
Yeah, exactly. And so then cut, and I literally wrote cut to, like in all caps, exclamation point, because it was such a severe cut.
Yeah, they call it a smash cut.
Well, yes, of course it's a smash cut, but this felt as though, they had shot this episode starting from the scene we're about to talk about. And then we're like, oh, fuck. Did we forget to do the whole thing that makes this look like a backdoor pilot? Shit.
It's not.
We should just.
I don't even. Go ahead.
Like that's up at Eastland that explains why Jo is here.
I don't even think it's that. I think contractually it was like, wait, we have to have all these girls in the show, or else it's not the facts of life. They're gonna get pissed. We got to pay them, so they got paid for like the easiest week of their life.
Fair enough.
Anyway, so now we're in Uncle Sal's garage, which is decently dressed as a sitcom set. For
sure, but here's what I was going to assume. We were going to spend all of our time in this garage.
You would think, based on the way it's so heavily set decked.
Yes, but also, so in walks an old man screaming, visible pit-stained Sal, with being trailed by his eldest son, who is like a John Travolta, Scott Baio mashup.
Yes, that's Bud.
Yeah. Oh, see, I didn't even get his fucking whole name.
It's written on his name tag. It's the only way I knew.
So there you go, because they keep saying everyone else's name.
Paul. Mm-hmm. Paulie, Uncle Sal, Terry.
Tony, yeah. Anyway, so the old man is yelling. He's like, don't tell me what I need. I know what I need, and I don't need a sandwich machine. Terry, tell your brother, I got a coffee machine. That's good enough.
But it's 1982. That's not good enough. Sandwich machines are really cool in 1982.
Well, so he's like, it's 1982. Good enough's not good enough anymore. Terry, tell your brother people don't come in here to eat. They come in here to get gas. Which is true, but also during this pandemic, let me tell you something. It is actually very good to have a convenience store at a gas station because little known secret, great place to find toilet paper.
Oh, look at that.
There you go. But anyway,
yes, I do believe they're debating the merits of a mini mart, and I'm firmly on the side of pro mini mart.
Yeah, absolutely, because you want to be able to offer your guests a secondary service that makes them feel as though you're taking care of them. Like while you're doing their oil change, you can have a cup of coffee that tastes like soup.
Yes. Shall we talk about these assholes?
Yes, please.
All right. Go ahead.
Before we go into this, I will say that this is so much better acted than the last backdoor pilot, and so much better than the one before that, the one with MacGyver and that porn actress.
I agree with you, although I will say that the odds, the average, it goes up so much because of Grant Kramer's acting that this is kind of the best acting we've seen on The Facts of Life, period, at this point. You deserve a break today. All right, so Donnelly Rhodes plays Uncle Sal, and I've known him as long as I've known the sweet, sweet Jimmy Baio. They both were on Soap together. So Donnelly Rhodes played Dutch on Soap, and he was awesome. He was an ex-con. He's got a long, storied career. It goes back to the 60s when he was on literally every single television show ever made. From Mr. Ed and Mannix and Hazel and Bonanza. Literally, like, if it was on the air in the 60s, he did it. After Soap, he did a one-time guest spot on It's a Living, and then he found a short-lived sitcom that starred a young Michael Keaton called Report to Murphy, about a parole officer who had a wacky crew of criminals that surrounded him. And then he was on Double Trouble, which was great. Great show. I strongly recommend. Maybe we'll do that after The Facts of Life is over. What'd you say?
10 years.
Ah, no. Oh, by the way, I saw my Facebook anniversary. Today's the 11th year, the 11th anniversary of me moving to LA. And last year, I posted that it was the 10th year and that it was our 25th Facts of Life podcast.
Wow.
Oh. So
only 25.
It was only 25 last year, and now we're at 52, I think. 53? This might be 52.
Well, we did the movie. We did the Christmas movie. So
yes, we did. Anyway, so more about Donnelly Rhodes. He was on 3 Murder, She Wrote as 3 different people, which I do recognize him from. And then take that, what's his fuck from last episode, whose name I forgot. He worked until his death in 2018. He was his last thing that he did was a crossover for DC's Legends of Tomorrow and The Flash, where he played Agent Smith on both shows. He rules, by the way. He's awesome. And it's interesting that we got another player from Soap top-lining another Facts of Life spinoff back-to-back.
Maybe same casting agent, same producer, whatever. Who knows?
Yeah, Soap was just wrapping up right around now, so it makes sense that they're all like, help.
Yeah. Please.
And then there's Bud. Bud is played by D.W. Brown. Besides 2 episodes of One Life to Live, this is his first gig, and after this he played Ron Johnson in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Yes, he will follow that up with the Dick Sargent movie I'm Going to Be Famous, which he was not because he did very little else.
Wait. What did you say, Dick Searching?
Dick Sargent?
Oh, Dick Sargent.
Yes. The Dick Searching movie. He played Dinko in the...
That's the Lorraine Bobbitt movie.
Dick Searching. He was Dinko in the 1984 comedy The Joy of Sex. He did an episode of Sledgehammer. Way later, he did an ER. And most recently, he returned on the YouTube TV show Bad Escorts from 2018.
Sounds promising.
Yes. He also directed a crime drama called On the Inside from 2011, which starred Olivia Wilde and Daniel Frances from Mean Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Donnelly Rhodes goes and does some intense sitcom acting when he explains that people come there to eat. They reminded me of your husband quoting movies.
It's very intense.
Yes, it's like giving it all, but like you're in a living room or on a sitcom set, and it's like, what are you doing, Donnelly?
Like, we're starting at 11.
They sure were. And they're arguing, saying Terry's name over and over and over.
Because, what's the big reveal? Because
Terry has a vagina!
Terry is a gender-neutral name.
Yes, and a gender-neutral character as well.
Well, that's the thing. As I wrote down in my notes, everyone on this show has the exact same haircut, regardless of gender.
Hey, they tried to make that a plot point.
True, which was, again, problematic and offensive. But
yeah.
Let's keep going.
Yeah, let's definitely do that. All right, so let's reveal it's a tomboyish girl named Terry Lago, famous for her Lago sauce.
Well, no, she's been underneath a car.
Yeah.
Sing it, right? And so all we get this pit-stained Sal screaming at his eldest son about how he doesn't want to install a sandwich machine, and then they argue over 2 disembodied legs around a car, underneath a car. And then she swivels out and she goes, you 2 are arguing like old ladies. You've been fighting over that sandwich machine for an hour. Listen up, you 2. We're going to compromise. Right? And then, fine, no sandwiches, but we'll add soup to the coffee machine.
Yeah, so now this is not the time of coffee pods.
Right.
So is there just like a coffee pot filled with tomato soup?
No. So here's the thing, is that as soon as I heard that, I went, ugh, gross. Because, I don't want coffee to taste like soup, and I don't want my soup to taste like coffee, right? But do you remember those old, well, they're still around. Like, I'm sure we could find one in, like, a hospital, right? but it's like it's like a big old machine where basically it's like you can have hot cocoa, you can have coffee, you can have a cappuccino, and it's basically just like a little arm comes over and just shoots boiling water through something that's flavored, and it comes into a little cup. So one of those things could be tomato soup. It's just, a filter.
Got it. Interesting. I had something I wanted to say, and I've completely forgot it. You fascinated me with your... So I remember what it was.
My soup-splaining?
Yes. I have made a pork chili, and I put a couple of cups of very strong espresso in it.
And how was that?
It's delicious. It's part of the recipe.
You stopped.
I said it's delicious. It's part of the recipe. It works quite nicely. As I think I've mentioned before on this podcast, I won a chili cook-off. I'm actually looking at my trophy right over there. It's a spoon. Yes.
A big spoon?
Yeah, it's a big spoon on a plank. It was a gay chili cook-off too.
The other good thing to put into chili is chocolate.
Oh yes, I did do that as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Terry Largo. She's played by Megan Follows.
Yeah, I too. Even though that's not my job on this podcast, I looked it up too, but it was like it very explicitly said in her IMDb, Megan. And also, she has had an incredibly long career.
She has. She definitely has. So she's best known for being Anne in Anne of Green Gables. That's her thing. But she's also done a couple of other things. She got her start on The Baxters as Lucy Baxter. The Baxters? No, we're going to talk about The Baxters more than you talked about Sheets. I watched a whole episode of The Baxters because it's insane. So it's a Norman Lear produced show. I believe it's Canadian. It's one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. It's a half-hour sitcom, multi-camera, but only 15 minutes or half of the half hour is devoted to the sitcom. The sitcom does not have jokes and does not have an audience. It has life lessons.
Like Facts of Life.
Different, but yes. There are actually jokes in the Facts of Life, despite your protestations.
Quote unquote. Yeah, uh-huh.
This aggressively doesn't. And it doesn't have a laugh track. There's nothing in it. You can tell me my collar's been crazy this whole time.
Hasn't been.
I got dressed real quick for this. I don't wear clothes anymore, so they're all weird to me.
Does it feel like you're just like, oh God, this clothes, it's so, I feel like I'm covered in tape and hair. Ugh, I wish I could just free my naked body. Yeah.
I'm always covered in hair, baby. But yes, I do feel restricted. Anyway, The Baxters is so strange because after the 15-minute episode is over, we then get a 15-minute Donahue-esque talk show about what we just watched.
Wow.
Like, what did the wife do wrong? What could she have done better? What did the husband make a mistake on? What could he do better? It's so weird, and it's on YouTube. Yeah, The Baxters. Check it out. Anyway, so then she moved on to a Canadian series called Matt and Jenny, which is about a brother and sister who are new to Canada in search of their uncle after their mother passes away on board a ship from England. Oh my God.
Wait, so this girl is this actor, basically she plays roles where exclusively her mom is dead?
Yes, that's her thing.
Yeah.
The only way that she can come is if somebody goes, "Your mom is dead," while she's getting fucked. Her mom, by the way, totally alive and well. She just doesn't like her. I did so much research on Megan Follows. Anyway, she did 4 episodes of something called The Littlest Hobo, which is about the wandering adventures of an intelligent German shepherd.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yes. Yeah,
right.
she did. She did something called Shattered If Your Kids Are on Drugs.
Sounds good.
IMDb describes it as, this is the description, a propaganda film to expose a series of drug relations within teachers. And the only 2 men who are aware of the situation can lay insight on the epidemic that is growing. It stars Burt Reynolds, Judd Nelson, and Dermot Mulroney.
Wow, that sounds good. So she's the second guest star on technically what is a Facts of Life episode. who did go on to be in something that was a PSA, basically, that was drug related. Helen Hunt also did with the Angel Dust one.
That is correct. More recently, she's been on Heartland, and now she's a regular on upcoming Netflix series October Faction.
October
Faction.
Faction?
Faction.
What's it? October Fat Chin?
Faction.
What's an October Faction?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't even know what October is anymore. I've just been in my apartment forever. So Terry rolls out and sets back the women's movement, calling them ladies. Regardless, Sal signs off on the coffee soup combo platter.
You're breaking up.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Good. Sal signs off on the coffee/soup situation.
Yeah.
But Bud can't. He whines that the man knows how to run a business as though he's trying to get. It was like, you don't know how to run a business, Dad. It was like he was like talking about Sunday sauce.
Can I ask you a question though? Now that we're talking about this coffee machine with the soup in it.
Mm-hmm.
Is coffee soup technically?
No.
Are feet shoes?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. That's just something I wanted to clear up. Anyway, so then Sal's like, he's like, this man, he doesn't know how to run a business, right? Then Sal's like, he's like, hey, excuse me. What's 21 years at the same location compared to 2 entire semesters of business college?
Three, Pa, 3.
I'm in my third semester. Anyway, Then Terry's like, you know what? Shut both of your fucking mouths. If the next yelling that happens, I'm gonna put my wrench in the back of your skull.
That was a surprise.
That was a little aggressive.
Yeah, that was a shocking, so this is a show about a psychopath being raised by 3 Bayos.
Right. Yeah.
Goldie Psycho and the 3 Bayos. Uncle Sal decides he likes this fantasy. He's going to be in a coma, but Bud's going to tear down the garage for condos. There's so much exposition in this that is never needed.
I know. And it's like my eldest son would fucking love that because then they could tear down the garage, this thing that I worked 21 years to build, blah, 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 before my body's even cold. And then he's like, body's even cold. It would take me months to get the building permit. So constantly ribbing one another like any family.
Yes, it's the patricide construction bureaucracy joke all the kids were hoping to hear.
No, but it's like, but remember, when I go, bury me under repair bay number 2, Terry gets a very earnest sort of like, whoa. But you told me that you wanted to be buried with Mom. So now we know that she's got a dead mom, right?
Uh-huh. And we know that she's got a dead mom that's about to be exhumed.
Yeah, exactly. But then the dad goes, yeah, I know. We'll just move her. As though this is a funny joke. Let's joke about this.
It's so weird, and it goes nowhere. We don't even see repair bay number 2.
No.
But anyway, Bud drops all his business school words, saying he just wants to make his business more successful. It's like every word that you could think of. Yep. But Terry's like, you'll make it work. I have faith in you. And then they rub each other's faces.
Yeah, I know. No, but here's the thing is that he's like, because here's the thing is that they're basically trying to set up the fact that it's like, everyone is a type in this family, right? There's the tough but lovable old dad, right? Who has to learn how to, update everything and be in in the future, in 1982, right? Then there's the handsome one who's also business minded, who's like,
I think they're all handsome. The guys are the same level of handsome.
Yes, sure. But the one who's like, there's
the responsible one and the irresponsible one.
There's the Warren Beatty of Weehawken, right? And then there's the dumb fuck in the middle, and then there's Terry, the super responsible little girl. Anyway, so the the guy who's taken like, 3 classes about how to like, I want to do economic expansion. I want to do product diversification, growth potential. And then Terry, explains to him, she's like, don't worry, bud. It'll happen. Make it happen. If Pop doesn't kill you first, and then there's a lot of jocular arm punching.
Yeah, it felt like there was a lot more sexual chemistry than I expected from somebody who seemed like she was definitely a lesbian.
Yeah, and then she kind of reaches up to like grab his hair or touch his hair, and he does a John Travolta from Saturday Night Fever move. And this is what he does.
We just washed the hair. I work on my hair a long time, and you hit it. He hits my hair.
That's literally what he does in this episode.
Yeah, he does. That's true. He definitely don't touch my hair.
And I will say this. I am married to an Italian-American man who is obsessed with doing his hair and making it look nice. So this is a stereotype that is true. And especially more true now that everyone is doing Zoom meetings.
It's actually really funny. The only thing that I had to do besides put on a shirt was put product in my hair, and I forgot to do it. So
now are you upset about it?
I am, because I'm Italian, so that part of me is definitely embarrassed.
Yeah.
Luckily, the Italian part of me is the bottom half.
Exactly.
Anyway, so speaking of dudes that with hair that give off Scott Baio vibes, here comes Paul.
Yeah, everyone has this. As I said, everyone has the same fucking feathered haircut.
He's the other one. Paul is played by the unfortunately named John Mangiati.
Ooh.
Yeah. He didn't do too much with his career. He got his start on the Laverne and Shirley. He was a regular on The White Shadow. He was in Tag, the assassination game in 1982, same year as this. He did an episode of 9 to 5, the TV show.
I didn't even know it existed.
Oh, yeah. He did a Chips, where he was a dumb cop. He was on the sitcom for Love and Honor, where he played Private Dominic Patrizzo. And he was also in Meatballs 2 and something called Dead Men Don't Die.
Here's the thing about this guy, is that no wonder he didn't have a career, because he is the worst actor I have ever seen.
Yeah, he doesn't have the spark that the others do.
There are literally a few times when it felt as though he was staring directly into the camera, but like saw it and then was like, oh shit, I need to avert my eyes and talk to no one over here, because this is straining. It's a difficult job.
I just wanted to check and make sure the cameras were still there, and this wasn't a dream.
Yeah. So he comes in, and
I got more to say about him, I think. Oh wait, no, just that he was his last role was on an NYPD Blue. Okay. Anyway, go on. Sal's yelling at him for being late.
Yeah. So he enters, upstage, whatever, and he's like, he comes in with a basketball, right? And then there's a lot of basketball business with Terry, right? They kind of are throwing it around and whatever, and it's like, hey kid, heads up, blah, meh, And so he's the one who's like the palling around fool. Like, he's always getting suspended. He's not that interested in like, fixing cars and knowing what's up and going to school, because he's not like his older brother, right?
No, he just likes to have food fights.
He loves having food fights. But this is immediately where I was like, obviously everyone is doing something to establish who they are, right? Immediately, right? So there's the businessman, the eldest son is the businessman who is hot and vain. No, don't touch the hair, right? Then there's the tomboy who is wise beyond her years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dopey middle son who cares about sports ball more than running a business.
Of course.
Yeah. And then the gruff but loving father who is, rear view window. Like, he's just looking in the past. He's looking towards the past, right? Yes. And then Terry also has to play all the roles where she has to be, the youngest daughter, and the youngest kid, but she also has to repair cars, but she also has to kind of be the mom, right? So she's the one who's saying to Polly, like, what's going on, But before we get to that, we do have this wonderful exchange between Pit Stain Sal and Polly, where he's like, oh, Polly, where the fuck were you? Right? And he's like, am I late? And he goes, yeah, late. Where were you? Pop, what are you getting so uptight about? Which he basically says into the camera. And, and then Uncle Sal says, do you always have to answer every question with a question? And then Paulie says, did I do that? I lost my mind. Because did Facts of Life originate Urkel's catchphrase?
Obviously.
That's two famous catchphrases. Three. Don't have a cow.
Eat my shorts.
Eat my shorts. Wow. This is a groundbreaking show.
I've been telling you, why do you think we're here? We've literally spent more than 100 hours discussing this show. Anyway, so Terry was taking on the mom role.
Before we get there, so he's like, did I do that? And then he says, and then Uncle Sal, Pit Stain Sal says, cut it out. And he goes, oh no, Terry maybe says this? He goes, are you talking to me? Another fucking catchphrase? This one obviously was before.
Yeah. Anyway, Terry's taking on the mom role. She wants to know if Paul is going to get suspended. And he's like, maybe. And she's like, why do you get into food fights all the time?
I know.
It was a genuine laugh from me just because, like, what? And then he also, there's a dinner scene coming up, and he does not start a food fight, and he totally should have. So.
He also didn't know to put forks down on the table.
No, he didn't. And then when he did, he put them on the wrong side, the asshole. But Paul explains in the creepiest way possible why he's so sexually aroused by food fights. Yes. And it's not every day. It's just on Chow Mein Day, and he just likes to watch it slide down the wall. It's poetic.
Yeah. He says when it gets splattered on the wall and then it slides down the wall, it's poetry.
Yeah. That was a solid minute of the show, him describing this.
So I was like, this is racism.
Why?
So he's Italian, right? And a lot of people still use the method of throwing spaghetti against the wall to see if it's ready or not, right? If it's al dente, right? Whereas this one, he goes with chow mein just because it's a sort of, it's a microaggression, basically.
Oh, I just thought it would stick to the walls better because it doesn't have all that sauce.
No, it has a lot of sauce. Do you want me to tell you a little bit about chow mein? Here we go.
Please do.
So chow mein means stir-fried noodles, roughly translated into English as fried noodle, right? So, and the main ingredients, it's Chinese American cuisine, which were brought over by immigrants from China, all of Asia, right? Usually it's noodles, meat, onions, and celery. Okay. So, but the great thing is that it was a dish that was modified depending where you were. So in America, at least, right? So in New York, it tends to be crispy fried noodles with like meat and some veg in it, whatever. In Chicago, it's chop suey over crispy fried noodles. And then in Minnesota, you get a green, quote, a green slurry of celery and ground pork topped with ribbons of processed chicken. Another Minnesota version includes ground beef and cream of mushroom soup.
Oh, my God.
And then in Newfoundland, shout out to all our Canadian listeners.
What up?
Chow mein has no noodles. It has cabbage.
My lovely Canucks, could you please clarify if that is the case? That's crazy. Would your chow mein not have noodles?
In any case, so what happened is that, because I went on a little bit of a deep dive in terms of just like learning about chow mein, because again, it's like, remember how when we were talking about like when Natalie learns about her father having an affair in the Fancy Pants restaurant, and she's like, I want to have the manzicati profilati. Like she kind of like fucks up and like she just sort of jams together Italian words being like, close enough. The reason why this is racist is because it's like chow mein, it's like a thing that everyone associates with shitty cafeteria food. And that's just, no, especially in the 80s, it was like chow hall, food hall. it was associated with bad school cafeteria food. So it's like the lowest of the low, like chipped beef and then chow mein.
I've never seen chow mein at a school cafeteria for me, but it's one of my favorite foods, so I would be heightenedly aware. I love a noodle with some onion and some meat. Mwah.
Do you want me to send you the Wikipedia page for chow mein after this?
Please, if you could, that would be great. Maybe we should stop so you could send me the Wikipedia page right now, and we don't have to forget. Anyway, so Paul explains all his stuff about his noodle fetish, and then Joe walks in
and says, "Who do I have to blow around here to get an oil change?"
That's exactly what I wrote.
But again, the other weird thing is that, why make her take the goddamn fucking train down here if she has a motorbike and she is going to a garage?
It makes no sense. I didn't Google the distance from Weehawken to Peekskill, and now I'm regretting it.
So I will say this. It's actually pretty easy because you can just go, I don't know what highway it is, but you can literally go from that part of New York down in through northern Jersey and just down the coast to Weehawken, which is basically just across from Manhattan. It's like where Hoboken is. It's just north of Hoboken.
So it's like a 25-minute trip?
No. It's like if you were going to take your motorbike, it would probably be an hour, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. If you're going to take public transportation, it would probably take an hour to Grand Central, and then probably like half an hour via train and the path. Is that right?
It did just come up, and it is an hour. Yes. It's exactly right.
I honestly, I'm really good at distances and maps, and no,
I can tell. Yeah, an hour and a half on train, an hour and 16 minutes by car, or I'm assuming motorcycle.
This is my other podcast. If you call in and you're like, how long will it take me to get from the Bronx to Philadelphia? I will just tell you off the top of my head.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyway, I've never been so glad to see Joe. I got really tired of these people, and I always saw her. I was like, oh, I love her. I love her in that pea coat.
I know.
They all hug Sal, and Sal tells Joe she looks great. And then Terry, salivating, says, she looks better than great. She looks beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, this feels a lot more authentic than the crush she's about to have on Tony, by the way.
Yeah, and also, here's the other thing, is that so then Uncle Sal kind of explicates who these people are in relation to Joe.
Yeah, just in case we don't know how they're related, we learn that Joe's mom's dead sister's husband is Sal.
Yeah, husband, yes, sorry, yes. Yeah, we get it, but I literally wrote down, we get it, the mom is dead. The mom is dead, let's just keep moving, Then he points to Joe's got her smile, and he points up, rest in peace. Oh, look, there's the fan belts. Hey, fan belts up there. Because everybody think that's funny, right? Fan belts. Because it's though we didn't know that we were in a garage and this was about people who own a gas station. We needed more. Because I didn't actually understand it from the set.
Nah. Terry's so glad Joe made it. Joe says nothing would keep me from a Lago birthday dinner except everything else ever, because she never goes back to another one.
Well, right. And then she says, hey, you're going to make the usual, right? Linguine and Polniaczek sauce. I don't understand any of this at this point. Why would this Polish aunt of hers put her Polish sauce on this linguine, but then they're like, no. It's Largo sauce. I genuinely don't understand any of this.
I agree. The phrase
Largo sauce. Because
yes, but also the phrase linguine and Polniaczek sauce is vile.
True.
Apparently it took 4 days to make this sauce, which when I look at it later on, it's bright red like a can of ragu, and there's no way took 4 days to make that sauce. Since I'm Italian, I have more to say on this than maybe others on what the fuck is a 4-day tomato sauce. There is not a 4-day tomato sauce. That shit would be crazy. I looked it up. There's not one recipe for a 4-day tomato sauce. Did you find one?
No, but we are so in the same fucking boat on this episode. I literally wrote, I hate this type of bullshit, false humbleness about being like, oh, it was nothing. It's just that 4-day thing that I work on for that long. But the idea that anything in the kitchen takes 4 fucking days, especially a sauce. Listen, this is coming from someone who in quarantine has made a sourdough starter from scratch. Starter. And then made my homemade sourdough, which took, a very long time. Not worth the effort, to be honest. I enjoyed it. I'm probably going to do it again if we're stuck in here for another couple months, but not really worth it. So someone who says it's like, because time does not equal better.
I actually looked up a recipe for a 2-day tomato sauce, which seems to be as long as I could find one. And it's available on thekitchenwithnoe.com. And the kitchen. But at the top of this page, it says something that cracked me up. It goes, what does 2-day tomato sauce taste like? Then there's a space, there's a new line. It says deep, period. Then there's a space and a new line, and it goes intense, period. And then there's a space and another line, and it goes almost like caramel, period.
Ew, God.
I know. So look up that bullshit on The Kitchen with No E.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he tells Joe the recipe's been in his family for generations, and Joe has also been in the family for generations. So what are you doing, bud?
Confusing to me. So she says, are you going to do the usual? Now we're fact-checking this stupid episode. The usual linguine and Polniaczek sauce. And then it's like, no. We do Largo sauce, which takes 4 days to do. And it's like, the recipe's been in the family for ages. And it's like, but if Joe never misses a Largo birthday, she would know that there's no Polniaczek sauce.
That's exactly my point. That's what I'm saying. Joe's been in this family for ages. What are you doing?
No, exactly. Anyway, so then, fucking, business-minded Bud, right? He's like, I've been telling you, Pop, if you bottled it and sold it, you could be another Mama Celeste. Do we want to talk about this?
Of course.
You know about
I know Mama Celeste Pizzas. I know that she had a restaurant and it closed. She sold her pizzas around town until the Quaker Oats guy was like, babe, you got to sell me your pizzas. And then she was made the face of the company, and she did adorable commercials in the 70s. And now the company has been sold a million times, and they just make microwavable dollar garbage pizzas. And they even dropped the mama off of the Celeste pizza, not just Celeste.
Okay. Here's the great thing. So she came from Italy with her husband in like the 20s, and then started up a restaurant in Chicago in the 30s and ran that for like 30 years. And very successfully, whatever. And then they just started making she started making her pizzas and giving them to other restaurants. And that's how she kind of became this frozen pizza, god, right? So, but yes, you're absolutely right. She was the face of, they sold it to Quaker Oats in 1969, but she was the face in the advertising. And the catchphrase was abbondanza, which means abundance in Italian. Mm-hmm. This is a clip from one of these commercials. Oh, not that. Sorry. It was just recording us.
Yeah.
Sorry. So the greatest thing is that just from Celeste, pizza for you from Celeste. And it literally sounds, when you listen to it, it sounds pizza for when you're depressed, which is literally what a personal single-sized pizza is. If you just want to eat a pizza by yourself, Celeste is your person. She's your lady.
I had a Stouffer's last night by myself.
Fair enough.
You know me and the French bread pizzas. Can't get enough.
Yeah. So
All right.
So the other funny thing is that so Celeste Pizza was bought by a number of different huge food conglomerates, from like Quaker Oats to another one, and then it was bought by Pinnacle Foods, which this isn't my area of expertise, but anyway, so they bought it and in like 2012 or something like that. The only pizzas that they sell are the single serving size pizza for one.
Mama Celeste is exclusively for sad people.
Well, or people who, are quarantining alone. Anyway, so Pinnacle owns Celeste. They also own like Vlasic and Wishbone and Hungry Man. But they also, and I Googled this, and I don't know how, like, again, it's a quarantine. I'm Googling weird shit. I went down a rabbit hole, and they also own a brand of potato chips called Tim's Cascade potato chips.
Oh, yes.
Have you heard of? Yes. So they're kind of a little bit difficult to find, but they're very delicious and very crispy. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because they were the only chips that were being sold at my lovely local pinball beer and wine bar, Waltz. Shout out to Waltz. And we were there. We go there. My husband and I go there all the time. Like we've been going there for like, I don't know, however long it's been open, 2 years. And so it was like they got this kind of slightly obscure chip brand, and that was the only thing they stocked. It was literally like that was the chip you could get. And then one day, no Tim's, and we were asking the bartenders, and they were like, "What happened to the Tim's?" Because they had like Funyuns, and they were like, "Yeah, just the Funyuns are kind of like a back thing." Like our chip guy. He had to get out of the chip game, like real bad.
Oh my God, I hope his name was Chip.
No, but like literally this bartender very earnestly said to us, yeah, we can't stock them because our chip guy had to get out of the chip business real quick. And we were like,
this is scary.
And we were like, what? And then the bartender said to my husband, he goes, yeah, so if you want to get into the chip business, now's your time. And now our bar only stocks Zaps, which are another obscure chip brand that are from New Orleans.
Well, why don't you guys become a chip distributor? Well, now's your time.
That's our secret plan. But anyway, isn't that funny? Anyway, so keep going.
All right. So Joe wants to make sure. Oh, yeah. Dad says, Sal says he's put the sauce in the coffee machine with the soup and the sandwiches because it's callbacks. Yeah. And then Joe says she wants to make sure that they're still going bowling. That's the thing that's talked about that we'll never see, a Martian Peters classic. Mm-hmm. Bud and Paul debate whether or not Terry should want more than her normal bowling with her family as a birthday extravaganza. Paul wants her to stay a child forever, even though she mothers him, and Bud wants her to mix and mingle and get fucked.
Yeah, but again, not consistent, because later Bud gets very upset about even the idea of her going out and having fun without them and getting fucked.
Also, a couple things. First of all, do Linda Marsh and Margie Peters think all women that live in like the tri-state area just are mechanics?
Yes. I mean, I am technically a mechanic as well. It's just
okay.
I got my mechanic's license when I was born. So
the men debate what socialize means. Joe suggests it means date, which everybody's not ready for. Bud's reaction when he has to say, "That wasn't exactly what I meant," was so weird. It looked like he shit his pants and had to get out of there real quick.
Yeah.
Speaking of shitting their pants, that's what Linda Marsh and Margie Peters did with this episode.
Yeah. And then, so basically everyone exhibits deep discomfort around the idea that their 14-year-old sister might want to catch a D or suck a C.
Paul is not so shocked. He thinks it's hysterical.
No, he makes fun of her to her face.
Yeah, it's really fucked up.
Yeah, he goes, Terry with the date? Can you picture some guy making fish faces at you? And then does this very normal kissing gesture, because that is how normal people kiss. That's how I got my first kiss, with a man that just came in with like open-mouthed guppy motion, just trying to suck on my face. Yeah, super erotic for me.
Terry's got a good comeback for him, though. She goes, "Go eat worms," and storms away.
Yeah.
Which I liked quite a bit. Terry demands that she can date if she wants to, and her dad says, when it's time. We're just going around in circles at this point. Terry then sends Joe to get a can of 30-weight oil and then dips her head in the roof of a truck she's fixing so that Tony can come with his buddy Paulie and explain how he made out like a bandit last night.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Tony, so Terry's head is buried underneath the hood of a car. So he can't.
Yes.
And her ass is exposed. And so when Tony comes...
Exposed.
Okay. It's the only part that's visible outside the car. Anyway, so then when Tony comes in from that side of the garage, he comes in, slaps what he thinks is his best guy friend on the ass, and
hot,
and says, "I got fucking laid last night." Like, you wouldn't even know I made out like a bandit. Turns around, who is it? A 14-year-old girl. He doesn't apologize. He's like, "Oh, I thought you were my friend. That's why I was tickling your nuts for so long."
And then he's like, "By the way, I made out like a bandit last night."
And then, Terry, because I guess she knows all the neighborhood gossip, she's like, everyone knows for a good time called Dolores.
No, it's pretty funny. I thought it was a funny joke when she said, she goes, "It's like they always say, for a good time called Dolores." Now, that's just funny.
Okay, why?
Because she's basically saying, you just called a random number off a bathroom wall to get laid, and that's how you got lucky. But I thought it was amusing.
14-year-old girl would know about. I guess 14-year-old girl who's been raised by these assholes would know that.
I mean, when I was 14, I was...
Boy, you were a boy.
Doing stuff with girls that were pretty edgy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
My high school girlfriend was a Catholic schoolgirl who was crazy in a fun way. So anyway, let's talk about Tony now.
Yeah, so Tony Valente, right?
Yes. He's played by Grant Kramer, who is best known for the lead role in Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Ah, that classic.
Yes. He also did 46 episodes and 2 characters on Young and the Restless. In 1992, he was in a horror movie called Auntie Lee's Meat Pies, which is exactly what you'd think it was. His most recent credit is as Mr. Papyrus in the appropriate titled Final Song from 2014, which is about a woman trying to make it in the recording industry, but her brother, a wacky garbage man, is her manager and makes terrible decisions for her.
That sounds like an amazing movie. What's that called again?
It's called The Final Song from 2014.
So the reason this woman can't become a musician is because her manager is her wacky garbage man brother?
100%. I know. It's great.
That's unbelievable. I can't believe that. Who would even think of that? They must have a wacky garbage man brother.
Anyway, so he apologizes, thought he was slapping Paulie on the ass, but he reiterates with such weird acting, but boy, did I make out like a bandit last night. I enjoyed Terry's zinger about For a Good Time Called Dolores, and then Terry suddenly transforms into man-hungry Terry, and she stays that way for the rest of the episode. Wait till you see the slutty outfit she's going to put on to impress this guy.
Oh, my God.
But right now she's telling Joe about his one-handed layup that's a real beauty. Yeah. I bet she'd like a one-handed layup her dress.
Yeah, her prairie dress.
I love this Tony guy. He does a spectacular spinning high five when he sees his buddy Paulie, and then tells Paulie they should start wearing name tags because he's having trouble telling Paulie apart from Terry. And his accent is just insanity.
It's all over the place.
Yeah, it's not his real accent, obviously. I wish it was. If it was, we'd be real life friends. Paul cracks wise. You could tell us apart. I'm taller.
Yeah.
Terry wants to die. She elbows him in the boob. Sal calls Tony the tiger. And then Bud asks Tony how he's making out. And Terry's like a bandit.
Well, my favorite thing about this is that everyone, the direction, this is where Azad was just directing his ass off. So I think after this sequence, he gets too tired and needs to go lie down because everyone comes in doing a different thing. Sal's comes in rolling a tire. Paulie is pushing a metal contraption around. Joe brings over the can of oil. Everyone's
Wait.
Yeah, so it's Bud comes in carrying a battery. It's like a badly directed musical, where it's we need to establish where we are. Here's a guy pushing a fruit cart. Here's a lady with flowers to sell. A baker with baguettes. A kid with a kite. A woman on a bicycle. Bring, bring. It's like everyone is doing their thing.
Yes, that's correct.
And then Assad Colada was like, I'm so tie. I need to go.
I'm just going to place these cameras here. If you guys could stay in the vicinity of them when you say your lines, that'll be great.
Yeah, that's fine.
So Tony tells Paulie they should go spit roast this chicken at McDonald's together, and then he goes, she deserves a break today.
Yeah. So he goes, he says to Paulie, he goes, I'll come around later to pick you up so we can go check out that new girl over at the McDonald's because she deserves a break today.
Yeah, but Paulie's a family man, so he's hoping that they can just DP her tomorrow because there's a birthday tonight.
Yeah. But he sounds as though he's doing a bad Andrew Dice Clay impression.
Oh, it's great. It's a great Andrew Dice Clay impression. It's better than Andrew Dice Clay. It's better than almost all things I've ever seen. And Tony gets it. Oh, you got a birthday tonight. There's linguine with lago sauce. I'd even miss out on a chick for that. If only someone could secure me some leftovers. And then Terry, like a ghost trapped in a mid-century modern cupboard, goes, if there are any leftovers.
That's true. She was like that. And I was like, I literally wrote down like a little bitch, but I clearly had not understood the depths of Terry's manipulative gifts.
That is correct. She's related to Joe Polniaczek, and we saw Joe pull this shit on Blair just last week. So this is pretty easy.
So let me just say one thing is that, Tony says, I want some of the leftovers of the linguine and the largo sauce, right?
Right.
Largo sauce exists.
Yeah. No, it's always been called that. It's just not called that to Joe.
No. Key Largo Fisheries. Sauce. And they have a remoulade and a mustard sauce for their seafood.
So that's your story on Largo sauce? I thought you were going to have more.
No. That's it. Do you like remoulade?
I do. I mean, I think I do.
So it's mayonnaise, capers, pickles, and anchovy.
Oh, no, I don't like it.
What did you think it was? Russian dressing?
I think I was thinking of something else because I was thinking of I think I was imagining marmalade.
You have marmalade on seafood.
That could be good. I don't know.
Ooh.
I bet Paddington Bear would absolutely love a nice salmon and some marmalade.
Oh, meh. Not my favorite flavor profile. I would prefer something a little bit more acidic than a marmalade on some salmon. But
you're not Paddington Bear.
It's true. I'm not.
Yes, everyone freaks out. What could that mean? Dad's made enough lago sauce for an army. Terry tries to explain it away by saying that Joe's fat ass is going to lick up all the largo sauce.
Sure.
But really, she's got an ulterior motive. She quotes the idea of Tony coming over to dinner and then quickly dismisses it because he's not family, which makes Paulie outraged because, of course, he's family. And then Bud gets mad because this isn't the Lago way. When you're here, you're family. And that's where they created Olive Garden.
That's the Olive Garden way.
That's correct.
The thing about this is that it's like this was a huge ruse that Terry was doing to get Tony to come.
Yeah, she wants to lose her V card to the T-Man on her B-Day.
Right on. But this reminded me of that episode of Friends where everyone knew that Chandler and Monica were boning. And
They know you know.
Like it was like they don't know, we know they know we know.
They know we know.
They know. Anyway.
Tony thanks Terry, but says Terry's like, no, it was the boys' idea. And he leaves, and then Sal is smiling, but then he gets it. His daughter's about to get fucked, and then his smile drops, and Joe's like, yeah.
I'm not sure about being fucked, but at least fingered.
Finger fucked.
Possibly. Probably more like a rub on the outside of her prairie dress.
Oh, is that like what first dates were in 82?
Well, yes. I mean, but not like in this episode, they do this weird thing where it's like, yeah, all those 14-year-old girls slutting around. It's like 14-year-old girls? What are you talking about?
The 14-year-old girls that I know in 1982 are near prostitutes, shot nude photos for pedophiles. They get around. They're willing to wear begonias on their dresses or whatever it is, just to please a man. Gladiolas. So okay, now we're up in Terry's room, and Terry's holding the world's ugliest dress against her body.
Yeah. But she doesn't.
Joe,
Great. So, but the great part about this is that she doesn't have a fucking full-length mirror in her room. Because why would she have that? Because she's not, a vain little girl. She's, normal tomboy. So she has a tiny little mirror that's on her dress stand or whatever. And so she's doing this thing where she's holding up the dress, standing on her bed, and trying to angle it so that she can see herself in it. You would think that when she bought it, she would have gone into a dressing room and would know how it looked? Or is she such a tomboy that she doesn't understand how women's clothing works?
Well, there's no way she saw what that dress looked like when she bought it. Otherwise, she would not have bought it. So that's my theory on that. But anyway.
But they actually, the costume, decorator, whatever, the costume person on Facts of Life loves to put these girls in these stupid, weird outfits.
So ugly. This is probably the ugliest one yet, though.
What? Really? But worse than the one that Natalie was in last week where she was a mother of the bride?
That one was pretty bad, too. I think this one was worse, though, honestly. But it's so ugly that she actually has to tell Joe it's a dress.
Well, yeah, I think that Joe would know what a fucking dress looks like, aside from the fact that she was wearing one last week. And she's like, "Oh, I get it. It's not pants. That's a dress. That's what dresses are. They're not pants."
You bought this to.
I will say this. I was confused by the set decoration in her bedroom.
Oh, why is that?
Because she's a Yankees fan, but also a Bulls fan. There was a lot of sports paraphernalia, a lot of posters, pennants, shit like that. She had a Yankees pennant up, but then she had a poster of a basketball player in a red and white uniform. I Googled this. It's either the Bulls, the Rockets, the Heat, or the 76ers. Well, did they just find a basketball poster somewhere in the trash and just put that up? You could easily put the Knicks up.
I mean, my favorite football team is the Colts, and it has nothing to do with my allegiance of where I am. I don't just root for California or root for New York, even though we've got the Jets and the Giants.
No, but that's the thing. The Jets and the Giants, no one likes them. Even people who are, from New York or the tri-state area. But it's weird for her to be like, I fucking love.
Let her have her preferences.
Okay.
Anyway, so she bought the dress to wear to school at the dance at school, but she never went. She went bowling with the guys instead, which is what she likes to do. Then she does this really gross acting thing where she looks to the right and goes, "Had a good night, broke 220." Fuck off! I hate that.
I know, it's so annoying because it's like what it's trying to do is trying to make give the impression that she's, she's kind of an old man in many ways, because she's being taught by all the men around her.
Yeah, and she barely even recognizes the sacrifice of not going to that dance because she had a good night. She's a little too twin.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Terry's determined to prove the difference between her and Polly by wearing this dress. And Joe's like, isn't this about Tony the Tiger and his orange stripy dick? And she's like, yes, I'm obsessed. I want to be pounced.
Yeah, no. So Joe says, he's cute. And she goes, he's not. Very coyly, she goes, he's not cute. He's gorgeous.
Yes, it's like a demon comes out of her, a horny demon.
Like a real housewife. He's gorgeous. Oh my God. Like she's had 4 martinis.
Yes, and so she must get a lot of cash at the gas station because she also had a ton of cash to buy all these cosmetics as well as this dress for herself that nobody knows she has. So she wants Joe's advice on how to work the cosmetics.
Yeah.
And Joe's like, I just brush my teeth and go.
Well, yeah. And here's the thing. You know, she's going to Joe for help. Joe.
What are her options?
Has she ever met Joe?
Joe is very pretty. She's got her shit together. She's a woman.
The only person in this goddamn house who's like the vain person is the eldest son who could help her. He'd probably be like, listen, I know how lipstick works.
She can't trust those assholes. Those are bad people. Anyway, so Terry just wants enough so Tony will notice her, but her dad won't. But that dress is so gigantically ugly, I have to assume he'll notice it. And Joe says she's not the right person for this. You need a vain asshole. Light bulb. Joe just had another one of Blair's brilliant ideas.
True. So
we smash cut to Blair giving her all on the lounge on the phone.
Yeah. Hello.
Joe says she's had an emergency, and Blair's like, good heavens, you're in jail. It should have been again, as the girls have already been in jail. It would have made the joke a little funnier, but
yes.
And they went to jail in a Linda Marsh, Margie's Peter episode. So it's like, come on, guys. But Joe explains that there's a face that needs your help, and that's enough for Blair to understand that she needs to snap into action. She's like, what shape is the face, egg or heart? And Joe's like, apple. And then Blair cracks herself up legitimately by saying, Macintosh are delicious.
Yep.
Yeah. I would have liked Blair to have actually needed that info and made like a makeup profile based on the apple shape. That would have been pretty cool.
You mean like actually giving information, being like, so if she has a heart-shaped face, you should put blush here, but if it's an egg, you should put blush on the higher part of the temple, whatever. You would like her to do an actual YouTube makeup tutorial during this episode?
No, that's not what I was saying. I was just saying that the apple question, the Macintosh are delicious, was Blair is so good at makeup that even knowing the difference from one apple to another would be spark something in her.
I see. Okay. That makes sense. I mean, fair enough.
Definitely didn't want a makeup tutorial in the middle, but whatever. Joe puts Blair on hold by holding the phone in a towel and then tries to talk Terry out of going downstairs looking at a girl. Really fucked up gender politics at the Largo house.
Yes, exactly. She's like, but so Joe's like actually doing her thing where she in the first scene, which I actually think is a little disingenuous because in the bloat of the last scene, right? Joe recognizes what Terry did, which was manipulate her family into getting her crush to be invited to her birthday party, right? Joe's giggling, being like, oh shit, nice work, right? And now she's acting being like, what, you want to wear a dress? I don't know how to do this. Da, 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 blah, 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 blah. And then she goes, and then like Terry's sort of like, you're the only person in this house who has a uterus, and you've probably been to dances and worn shit on your fucking face. You literally cannot help me with this. And she's like, no, let me call my friend. Let me phone a friend. And then Joe's like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you ready? And she's like, I'm not sure they're ready to see you looking like this.
Yeah, Terry's like, ready or not, here my tits come.
Well, yeah, but like, who gives a fuck if they're not ready? Terry's ready.
Is she?
Yeah, she clearly is. She is. Tony.
Also, I would just like to point out that Joe has a shit ton of makeup on. She's on a sitcom. I could see her lip gloss. I could see her blush. I could see her eyeshadow. I could see her eyeliner. I'm sure there's foundation. Come on.
Yeah. No, and then this is the blow to this act. We go right into awkward applause.
Yes. This is Ready or Not, I'm a Woman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm coming out.
Mm-hmm. And we are out of Act 1 and back with Bud and Paul talking about forks for way too long.
Oof.
So much fork talk. Paul puts them on the right instead of the left. Bud questions how long he's been eating. It's sparkling dialogue like this that kept Joe's cousin off of the fall TV season.
Yeah, this was really bad.
Yeah. More bullshit time wasting between these two. Apparently Terry's the one who sets the table, not Paul. Paul cleans the living room. At least he did once in 1979. I'm too distracted by Bud's chest hair to follow this bullshit.
It is opened so deep. It's like...
Hey, I'll give a little Bud.
Yeah.
Hey.
I'm giving everyone a little Bud right now.
What's going on?
Speaking of outfits, everyone in this episode, aside from Terry, who is wearing a horrible dress, everyone's jeans are so tight. So tight.
Yes.
Those are tight. Sal, I guess Uncle Sal maybe a little bit loose, but like everything, like you would have to peel those jeans off.
For sure. It's just like two off-brand Bayos tied up in denim. Sal comes in and breaks up the awfulness by asking them to behave for Terry's birthday, and also look at that sad, shitty birthday sign they hung up.
Oh my God, my favorite, it's the best, is that it's one of those shitty ones that you get at fucking CBS that just says, happy birthday, right? In different colors.
Then a piece of construction paper.
Terry on a piece of paper and taped it to the sign. Like, it would have been better if they just didn't have Terry on there. They could have just had happy birthday. Don't bother with the Terry part.
Would have been better if they just didn't have Terry come downstairs.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tony arrives looking like a weirdo and smelling like $1 million. I'm so fascinated by this guy.
Uncle Sal's like, you smell like $1 million. Hey, this kid's always ready for action. And then it's like I was like, oh shit, here we go. As soon as this guy's action-oriented, perfume-drenched penis is pointed at his daughter, he's going to be really alarmed and pissed off.
Oh, for sure. Paul has a seat with Tony because he's the lazy one.
Yeah.
But there's some nonsense. Get up, get the food, call the girls down to dinner. It's all like three things at once. It's super not funny. It results in Sal and Paul and Bud leaving the room. Thank goodness. Yes. Tony turns on the TV. Sorry?
Everyone leaves aside from Tony, who takes a load off and turns on their TV because it's like, oh, I live here too. Whatever. I feel very comfortable doing this. Anyway, then Joe and Terry come downstairs. Terry is in a baby blue prairie wife dress that is horrible. It is a high-necked, long-sleeved, like long chiffon dress that is, unbelievably unrevealing.
It's just horrifically unrevealing.
I literally wrote down, how did they make this 14-year-old girl who is, experiencing her nascent pubescence, right? How did they turn her into a 45-year-old woman in like
95?
She literally, have you seen the movie The Big Chill?
Yes.
I sat down and I was like, who does she look like? She looks like Mary Beth Hurt in that movie, who's the one who has very short reddish hair, who is like desperate to have a baby and is kind of like the pathetic, like woman on the go business lady who's like, my eggs are dying and my clock is ticking. And then Glenn Close is like, you know what? I cheated on my husband with the dead guy, so you can fuck Kevin Kline so you can have a baby. Anyway, Mary Beth Hurt fucks Kevin Kline so that she can have a baby. And that's what this 14-year-old girl looks like in this episode.
Spoiler alert. I will say that I did write here in my notes, that dress is the ugliest thing I've ever seen, and I've seen Natalie's outfit from last week. So I did acknowledge Natalie's outfit in the comparison.
Thank you.
Tony turns on, Tony is so horny for it. That's the amazing thing.
I was amazed. I was like, is he horny for teacher too? Like, is he horny for nuns? Is he horny for like, is he the milk?
No, he's not, because he doesn't care about Joe at all.
That's true. But no,
At all.
no, because Joe looks too young. He likes it when they look too old. So Terry's 45 and he's like, that's my shit. That's my shit right there.
That's his fetish. All right, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so he goes, "Oh, look at you," which worries her, like she's got a tampon stuck to her dress or something, because she reacts with embarrassment, i.e. no one's ever told her she's pretty before. Oh.
Yeah.
He insultingly tells her he never knew she could look so good.
But he says it like this. He goes, "Wow, look at you. I never knew you could look so good." Like, he didn't know what word to say. Like, it was like, sexy? Nice?
Sure.
Womanly? Like, he was grasping.
Yeah, he doesn't have a great grasp on the English language, so.
I also wrote down, I was just like, sidebar, she does not look good.
No.
Down.
He turns off the TV so he can fully appreciate her prepubescent beauty, and then all the men come in.
Go back. Sorry, I couldn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said he turns off the TV so he can fully appreciate her prepubescent beauty, and then all the men come in and see she's wearing a dress and act like she's wearing a pineapple sticking out of her ass. They're all horrified. Everyone says she looks nice, and Tony's like, "No, dynamite." Oh, my buttons are still undone.
No, but that's the greatest thing, is that I was like, so she's 14. So out comes Sal, and he's like, "Soup's on, all right, everyone to the table." And then all three Largo men look at her like in shock, as though she's wearing like, she's the grand wizard at like a KKK convention, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and honest to God, they're like, "You're wearing a dress." And then Terry's like, "You noticed." And it's like, "Terry, why are you wearing a dress?" And honest to God, I was just thinking, what the fuck happened when she got her period the first time? When you brought up nothing good. What has she been doing about this problem? Because she's 14. Most women get their periods between 12 to 14.
I just feel bad for Grant Kramer, who is figuring out a way to play the world's most likable pedophile.
True. Yes.
So Sal makes seating arrangements to keep Tony away from his daughter, but Joe has other plans and asks Bud if he'll swap with Tony so she can sit next to him. And Paul does not like this. He's like, "Hey, Bud, that's not what you said."
Yeah.
Terry is desperate to get fingered under the table, so she's like, "Be cool. It's good. It's fine."
Yeah. Because Bud misunderstands, because he's like, because Joe's like, "Hey, can I switch seats with you? Because I want to sit right there." And it's so that Terry can sit next to Tony, right? And then, because Joe's like, "I get what's going on here. You manipulated everyone to get Tony to come. You put on this dress. I'm going to try to get you some action."
Yeah, Joe's awesome wingman, solid. But I mean, like, let's acknowledge this actor is 21 and the other actress is 14. And it's a little creepy. And Joe is sitting there, 18 years old, right next to him, super cute looking. And instead, he doesn't go, "Hey, I'm surrounded by two beautiful ladies." No, he's just like, "Oh, I'm so glad to be sitting next to the beautiful 14-year-old birthday girl that was 13 yesterday."
Yeah, I totally agree. But the thing is that maybe he's just super stupid and ignored her when she looked 14 or 13. But now that she looks 50, he's like, "I don't know. It seems okay."
They sophisticated her up or something. It's good. I will say, first laugh of the episode finally comes when Tony calls her the gorgeous birthday girl, and then she squeaks like a maniac. That was funny. That was decent.
Yeah.
I bet that squeak is how she got the job.
She goes, "Ha, ha, 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 ha." You say the sweetest things.
Mm-hmm. And then there's this bit.
Oh.
"Hey, Tony, how you doing?" Not so great. I got a week back. When did that happen? About a week back? Oh!
I wrote down literally the worst comic exchanges I have ever heard.
I thought it was going to be a joke about how he bangs a bunch of McDonald's bitches in his car and that's why his back is bad, but boy, did they prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? You didn't love that? I thought that was insane that somebody chose to insert that exchange into a sitcom. And boy, did they prove that Megan Follows is not a good on-camera laugher. She's not.
But no, this is on purpose. This is where I feel like Azad left, and she was like left to her own devices. She was like, shit, what do I do now? Because the point is that everyone's a little horrified because she's wearing the dress and she's acting sort of flirty, and she has forgotten how to actually do her normal laugh, but she's trying to do like a girl laugh, like, oh, that's so cute. Where it's coming out like this, So I think that's what's happening, right?
Yes, Paul does say that Terry sounds like a sick hyena, and it's quiet for a moment until Joe breaks the tension by slamming a giant salad bowl into Tony's chest.
Yeah.
Because Azad's not here, and then Terry gets salad first, because ladies first.
Yeah.
Such a sweet guy, that Tony.
Paulie says, who you calling a lady? Right? Which isn't, like, that is an old vaudeville joke.
That one was actually Bud, I think.
Whatever, Bud, it doesn't matter. But it's
it's important only because
I feel like a Henny Youngman. It's like, that's what? Sorry.
I would say it's important because Paul has been the asshole the whole time, and this for some reason is when Bud turns into the asshole as well.
Fair enough.
But
okay.
Go on.
But it's an old joke, which is basically like, who you calling a lady? That's my wife. And it's like, who you calling a lady? That's my sister. Which we get a kind of callback, not a callback, but it's like the moment of like, when you fuck someone, that's someone's sister, we get that later.
Yes. And then Sodagate. She hands him a can of soda and then pretends like she's too weak to open a can of soda where every single person at the table has witnessed her do car stuff. It is the least authentic lie possible. It's embarrassing. It sets back the women movement. But still, he does open the soda for her. And despite the fact that Paul announces that she ripped off the tabs of a whole six-pack last night. What do these people do at night? Like, there's only 4 of them, and there's 6 sodas being ripped off. They're having the youngest one, the girl, just open all their sodas with her teeth.
No, it's a joke about being like, oh, I drank a whole 6-pack last night. That's what it is, because she's one of the guys, She opens, it's like a beer can thing where it's like she opens, like a beer bottle where it's like she opens it with her teeth. It's just to make her want to sound like one of the boys. Anyway, then we move on, and then Terry's like,
wait, I have something to talk about.
Okay.
Joe says the food looks great and then proceeds to eat sauceless noodles. It is not for another 45 seconds into this episode that I believe it's Paulie who was like, what are you doing eating sauceless noodles? You look like an idiot. And he just pours some sauce onto her plate. She was just digging in. Sal, this is great. Oh, man, I love Largo sauce. What are you doing? No Azad.
No one is directing this. There's no one flying this plane.
Your Osgod doesn't live here anymore. Anyway, let's see what else happens. Yeah, she's the one who brought up the Polniaczek sauce anyway. So
then Terry's like, Tony, let me give you another meatball, right?
He doesn't need any more meatballs.
Yeah. Is it Sal who says, he's got enough meatballs?
Yeah. Also, he did not get a single meatball.
No, I saw no meatballs.
Yeah, no meatballs at all.
That gets a huge laugh. It gets a huge laugh because I guess just balls?
Yeah, sure. That's probably it. And then Paul finally sauces Joe's noodles. Thank God, that was driving me nuts. Like, I cannot tell you how much that was driving me nuts. And then Tony offers to give Terry a ride on her motorcycle to the bowling alley, and she's obviously all about it. Yeah. But she can't ride a motorcycle in a dress. So she's like, fine, I'll take it off.
Everyone, and then Sal has a choking fit.
Yes, he does. And everyone rushes to him like he's the Godfather. Mm-hmm. And Sal sends the women into the kitchen to pour a 10-minute glass of water. I'm thinking, time just operates differently in the Largo kitchen at this point.
No, but speaking of The Godfather, my husband and I watched The Godfather Part 2 over the past 2 days, this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I made homemade linguine and Lundborg sauce.
Ooh, what's in Lundborg sauce?
Just a regular tomato sauce, but I'm saying I'm quite like Uncle Sal in this episode.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't a 4-day pasta sauce.
It wasn't.
Just like this shouldn't have been a 10-minute glass of water, but as I said, time just operates differently in the Largo kitchen.
Well, no, Sal shoos Terry away with Joe to make sure that both of them, the women, are out of the room so that he can yell at Tony for hitting on his daughter.
That is correct, and which he does. They demand Tony leave, accuse him of taking off her dress or asking her to, both in the past and the future.
Yeah. And he's like, "You're being crazy." And then Paulie says, "Yeah, crazy like a fox," which...
We know what you're after, 14-year-old pussy in a weird Victorian doll's dress.
Yeah. And then Joe and Terry come back in, and Joe's like, "Okay, Tony, why don't you show me your motorcycle?"
Which is code for finger me while I smoke that joint I can smell in your pocket.
Yes. That's that code. Show me your motorbike.
And then Terry is accused of making cow eyes at Tony. She's like, "What if I did?"
So what if I was? And then Bud says, "Terry, nice girls don't throw themselves at guys.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be inviting men over for Harvey's Bristol cream."
Yes, I watched some Harvey's Bristol cream commercials from the 70s, so I could totally get the joke.
Yeah. So Harvey's Bristol cream, it doesn't matter. It's just sherry. It's sweet sherry. It's a blend of 3 types of sweet sherry from Spain. But I am going to play the audio for a Harvey's Bristol cream advertisement that ran in 1980, which is what I think this episode is referencing.
Please do. I watched several from the 70s. It looks like everybody's about to have like a gangbang.
Yes. Here we go.
It's Lisa. Season's greeting.
I sound like a Christmas card. I was just thinking of you. She'll never believe that.
Can I drop by? I've got something special for you. It's his favorite.
Great. So do I. Will she be surprised?
That was a first, but today it's perfectly acceptable to invite myself over. In fact, giving Harvey's Bristol cream makes it downright upright.
Times may change, but quality never does. Give Harvey's Bristol cream.
So, if you didn't catch it, the whole premise of that was a woman called up a guy and was like, "Hey," invited herself over saying, "Hi, I need to come over. It's Christmas time. I'm lonely and I want your penis inside me." And he's like, and she's like, "Wow, that makes me sound like a Christmas card." And he's like, yeah, sounds good. Come on over. And then he thinks to himself, "Wow, I never would have said that." And then she comes over, she puts a fucking bow on top of her bottle of Harvey's Bristol cream, which is like the weirdest thing for like people in their late 20s, early 30s to be like, "You know what I want to drink? Sherry, fortified wine." And then goes over and she's like, "This wouldn't be acceptable like usually because women are so forward and inviting themselves over, but things have changed because of feminism, hashtag feminism." And then they go over and they're both like, "Oh, sweet, we got one another the same gift." So that's what this fucking show is referencing. The fact that like you're being too forward when you're bringing over your Harvey's Bristol cream.
Yeah, the ones that I watched were like people at a ski resort just laying about, like being flirty with each other. It was like the girls were being flirty with the girls, the guys with the guys, just everybody. It was going to be like a big orgy as soon as the cameras left. That's what I got from Harvey's Bristol cream. Makes you horny. Speaking of which, Terry points out that Bud is the Warren Beatty of Weehawk, and all he does is fuck. Yeah. And has like 3 different girls in a week. And sorry?
She says you haven't been home in 3 days. Like last week, you were gone for 3 whole fucking days. And then says, you didn't come home 3 nights in a row last week, but I bet one of those girls was someone's sister. So we get the acknowledgement of the fact that women get horny too, and that the people that you're fucking are people's siblings.
Sure. The point is supposed to be like, oh, because I'm a guy, it's different. But really, he's in college, and she was 13 yesterday. So, yes, it should be different.
But I also do like the fact that, as I said earlier, this is the first moment where we know where we are located.
Mm-hmm.
Weehawken.
Unless Weehawken is just where he goes to fuck.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, that's where he falls. But, like, that's the thing is that, like, we could have had this information told to us way earlier so that we understood where we were geographically.
That's important to you, I know.
It is really important because Joe's from the Bronx. I assume this was the Bronx. Like, if we're going to make some fucking New Jersey show, make a fucking New Jersey show.
They did.
Anyway, the other thing, I asked my husband, who grew up in New Jersey, I said, do you know anything that's important about Weehawken? And he said, actually, yes, I do. That is where Alexander Hamilton was shot by Aaron Burr.
Cool.
Yeah.
So don't go to Weehawken if you don't want to get shot. Anyway, so Sal tries to intervene. He says when Terry's mom died, he couldn't raise an 8-year-old on his own, everybody said. He starts regretting raising her like a boy, and now she's turning into a girl, so things are going to have to change. Terry just wants to do what other 14-year-old girls are doing, like being chased by pedophiles and pimps.
Yeah.
And Bud's like, oh, if that's what's the case, we're in trouble, because I'm a big fan of the facts of life, and I've seen what these 14-year-old girls do. She asks what's so terrible about wanting to be a girl, and then things get really fucked up. Paul says she can't play basketball with her because girls don't play basketball with him.
Yeah.
Bud thinks it's stupid, but Sal agrees with Paul. Terry should also quit shop class and take home ec so she can cook for all the guys. Ooh, there's like 2 minutes left of this episode. Where are we going with this?
I know, exactly. Here's the thing. So Paulie says, you can't play basketball with me anymore because girls can't play basketball. They don't do that. And then Bud says, that's stupid. Like, to Paulie. You don't know what you're talking about. The WNBA is 15 years from now. It will exist. Anyway, but so then Uncle Sal, Pit Stain Sal, says, he's like, no. He's just trying to make sure that you're safe. So, which is why I think you should stop taking Metal Shop and start taking home ec because it's safe.
All those tools.
Yeah, all those tools. And, because you need to start cooking and learning how to do shit. And also, you need to stop working at the gas station, which clearly you're unpaid labor, and this is your favorite fucking thing to do.
Oh, she has to be paid. How did she buy that dress? How did she buy all those cosmetics without anybody knowing?
Well, whatever. In any case, the dad is basically taking her favorite things away from her. I thought there was going to be this big reveal where it was going to be he's manipulating her, being like, I'm going to take away your favorite things in a way for her to beg for them back so that he reveals himself to be the true feminist of the family. No.
That was what I thought, but no.
No.
It's like they got halfway through that idea and then the phone rang.
And I was too complicated, right?
Yes. So Sal says they're not talking about this anymore. It's time to watch TV. Terry can go clear the table. Happy fucking birthday, Terry. I'm having a panic attack for this girl over here.
I literally thought the exact same thing at this exact moment. I was like, this is her birthday? World's worst birthday ever.
Yes. And Terry just goes. She goes and dutifully clears the table. And then Joe comes in, having presumably sent Terry's paramour away. She wants to know what happened. And in classic Peter's Marsh fashion, Terry, the victim, blames herself. She says she did everything wrong. And Joe's like, not everything. And as far as I'm concerned, the only thing Terry did wrong was pick that dress at the store. Anyway, Joe tells Terry to just be herself, which is solid advice, but not really applicable here at all because she's already herself too much. And then the advice should really be, don't be a slave to your family of Neanderthals.
Yeah. Make some fucking friends at school who are also girls.
Absolutely.
Befriend someone who looks as though they're okay doing eyeliner. and, you know, have a haircut that isn't the same one as all of your brothers and father.
And Scott Baio.
Yeah, befriend them. You know,
At least Jimmy Baio had different hair.
cultivate friendships with women.
That's right. And so Terry says she doesn't know who she is, and her family's not helping. And then Joe compares her to a goat.
Well, yeah, of course the fucking family isn't helping. They just literally were like, shit, what's going on? They shoo the kid away, the girl away, and they go, and they literally very theatrically say, Sal says, we're done talking about this. We're not talking about this anymore.
Yeah. Beyond that, though.
We're going to watch TV now.
Yes. But beyond that, though, like, I mean, if everything couldn't already go worse, even Tony went to go fuck that girl at McDonald's. Everything.
Because Terry says, what happened to Tony? And then as soon as that happens, Paulie's just like, what happened to Tony? What's going on? And he's like, you know, he kind of leans in, and Joe says to both of them, like, forget Tony. I told you I don't want. Oh no. He says, he said he got to pick something up at McDonald's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the whole thing. It sucks because like Tony was clearly horny that night, and she could have totally gotten into his pants.
Yeah. But then, so this is too horrifying for any of these men to understand, right? The idea that their youngest sister and youngest daughter have sexual feelings about someone. Tony might be inappropriate, but the fact that she has them at all is important to acknowledge, rather than just be like, you know, so now that we're acknowledging you're a woman, you need to go clean up the kitchen and do all the cooking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so that's literally the message of this episode. So then the phone fucking rings.
And Joe gets it, and she doesn't even fucking live there. They're just like, we need a woman to answer the phone. We're going to sit here and stare at the TV. Woman, answer the phone. I don't care that you're a guest.
And then everyone's like, she's like, don't mess. So Paulie, I think, says, I fucking warned you, bitch. Don't fucking mess around with Tony. And she's like, I'm not messing around with anyone. I'm 14. I don't even know where my clitoris is. Like, I haven't worked this out yet. I think he's very handsome, which on the face of it, he is very handsome. I really liked his moto jacket.
But Terry says she's just trying to find herself, and they should be supportive, but in way worse words than that, and way more words than that. And they feel a little bad and invite her to watch TV and not clean up her own ruined birthday party.
So this is the funniest part, is that they're like, it's like, so Terry's doing a lot of acting, being like, listen, I'm not messing around with anyone. And the dad's like, well, I know you're not. And then Bud is like, you better not be. And Paulie probably fucking says something stupid, And then Terry's like, well, it's not about messing around. I'm just trying to be myself, right? And then it's not such a big deal, is it? And it's like, and then literally it's like there's no response from any of these men except, let's just watch TV. Bud says in the weirdest, quietest, ad-libbed line, he's like, come over here and I'm going to awkwardly put you on my lap and we're going to watch TV together.
And the minute that she sits down.
As though this doesn't look creepy and incestuous. It looks like there's a family gangbang on that little girl.
I didn't see that. I thought it looked like a family watching TV.
No, he literally grabs her by the hips and puts her on his lap and he goes, let's watch TV, all breathy and low. And then Joe says, hey, Terry, it's for you.
Oh, yeah?
And so she gets up to answer the phone. We don't know.
Well, Joe says, don't rush. He'll wait. So we know it's a man. I think that it's just, I like thinking that it's Tony calling from the payphone at the McDonald's because that girl isn't there. And he's like, okay, here's the deal. You're going to take off that dress and wear something hot. And then at 2 a.m., I'm going to be outside the motorcycle. You come and we're going to fuck.
Yeah.
I like to hope that Terry had that happy ending.
No. So here's the thing. Here's her happy ending. Some random dude calls her on the phone. And that's it. That's literally, And then she goes to answer the phone. We don't know who it is. We don't know how she knows him.
Joe and all the assholes look on like, huh?
Exactly. And they're all just watching her as though this is the biggest cliffhanger ever recorded for television.
Yeah, well, that's it. We're out. Directed by Azad Khalada. Goodbye.
As I wrote down, I said, I can't believe that this wasn't picked up for a series because this is the most dramatic thing aside from like, Dallas, like who killed JT? That is like way
JR.
Sorry. We've been doing this for a while. But that it's like, this is the lowest stakes thing. A dude just called her on the phone. What's the rest of this series going to be about?
Their phone call. It's Roger. He just broke up with Nancy.
Oh, God. Well, Roger, we know fucks, so.
Yeah. And then in the closing credits, we get this one shot of all the girls bouncing around Joe, hugging her. Tootie even rubs Joe's head.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, why didn't we get that in the episode? Like when there was the first shot over the closing credits, and I was like, oh my God, like lost footage. I want it.
This here's like I hate the politics of this episode.
Yeah, me too.
Here's the thing. This could have been a proto sitcom version of have you seen A League of Their Own?
Yes.
With Marla Hooch, right? I didn't know how to raise a daughter. I did the best I could. I know my girl isn't as beautiful as all these other ones, but she knows how to play baseball, right? It's very moving when Marla Hooch gets to go and be a peach, right? When John Lovitz lets her on the fucking train because Gina Davis and Tank Girl
Lori Petty
refused to go. They force his hand to make Marla Hooch get on the fucking train because she's amazing at baseball. She's better than both of them combined. That's what this show could have been.
Yes, but it wasn't. All right. Well, with that, any final thoughts? Because I've got none.
No. So after this, we're going to do our season finale.
No, we've got one more episode. Then, I guess this next episode is our season finale. It's about book banning.
Oh.
And then after that, we are going to Chez Paris.
Yeah. Chez Paris. And also,
Gay Paris?
Gay Paris. I wanted to let our audience know that for the trip to Paris, because I am quarantine baking my fucking ass off right now, I'm going to make croissant at home for Dominik.
And I'm going to pick him up on her porch and give her a gift in exchange.
Because that's what we do right now. We barter. #barter.
Yep. So you'll get to see me eat croissants on a podcast, and perhaps Britt will make a little video and show how she made them.
Maybe.
Tag it on as a little behind-the-scenes featurette. Something to keep you guys busy.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right.
When you eat the croissant, I'll make sure that they're extra flaky and extra buttery because I know that you're not covered in enough crumbs right now.
Never enough crumbs. Never enough crumbs. All right. Well, until next time, thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.